Hello and welcome back to our cottage garden. This is going to be our May cottage garden diaries, so I'm going to show you around a little bit and let you know some of the projects that we've been working on in the last few weeks. It's been really beautiful here this month, as you can see, lots of sunshine, and it's been about 20 degrees Celsius on the nicest of days, so perfect for spending time in the garden and relaxing as well. The most notable thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks is we actually saw the Northern Lights from the garden, and it was an incredible experience, and we were so lucky that we managed to see it. We very nearly slept through, so we were just falling asleep. It was about 11:45 on the 10th of May, and I was on my phone and saw that Manor had posted about it just 5 minutes prior, so I ran to the window and looked outside, and sure enough there they were. Woke Aaron up, and then we came out here to have a look at them, and we didn't really take any proper videos. I think we were so flabbergasted that we actually managed to see them. We just took some pictures on our phone and a couple on the camera. Wish we'd taken some videos, but the most important thing is enjoying the experience, and we definitely did that. It was incredible, but let me know if you managed to see them as well. I know they were popping up all over the world, so let me know if you saw them from anywhere interesting. We also had a nice short trip to Cornwall this month. Again, beautiful weather, took the dogs to the beach and they did some paddling, but poor Aaron was in agony because he had tonsillitis, so I think he didn't really enjoy the trip as much as me and the dogs, but it was nice to have some fresh air and a change of scene for him, I think, and thankfully he's doing a lot better now. It's also bluebell season at the moment, so half of the world's bluebell population is in the UK. We have some really beautiful walks through ancient woodlands with a gorgeous understory of bluebells, and I try to fit in as many as I can around this time of year. The highlight for me this year was going to Bowood Woodland Gardens, where they have an amazing rhododendron collection and a beautiful understory of English bluebells. Seeing them flowering together was incredible. You get these gorgeous vibrant pinks from the rhododendrons and then really lush purple colours underneath as well. I've also found some lovely local walks with a good bluebell population and taken the dogs to see them too, which has been really lovely. But before we get on to what's happening in our garden, I have a sponsor to introduce you to, and that is Mammotion. So this is the Luba 2 all-wheel drive robot lawnmower by Mammotion, and this is the 3,000 meters squared model, so it can mow up to 3,000 meters squared. But if you've got a smaller garden or a larger garden, you can also get these in 1,000 or 5,000 meters squared too. Now, I must admit, I never thought we would be able to use a robot lawnmower in our garden, and in the past I looked into it and there weren't suitable models. But the amazing thing about this one is because it's all-wheel drive, it can climb slopes of up to 38 degrees, and we have a really hilly garden, and amazingly the mower coped just fine with it. So to set up the Luba 2, you have an app that you connect to your phone, and basically you control the mower as though it was a remote control car, which I found really fun. And you kind of do this process to draw the perimeter map of the garden. It was really easy and really straightforward, and you can control exactly where you want the boundary to be and what you do and don't want mowed. So I found this really useful for protecting my mini meadow, and as you know, if you watch this channel already, there are a lot of grassy areas that I like to leave things naturalised in, so I don't want to mow over my primroses and my daffodils. And then once we've drawn the perimeter on the app, we hit save and it will remember the map of our garden. And once you're ready to mow, you just hit start, and the Luba can remember up to 20 different zones. So if, like us, you've got a garden that's broken into many smaller parts, it's really useful for saving those, or if you want to mow the front garden as well, you can do just that. And you can see the mower copes really well with the incline in our garden. Most of our garden is up a slope, and it did a really amazing job. And even on this rough terrain like these stones here, it copes just fine, and it has really good suspension, and the all-wheel drive was perfect for this. And in the areas of the garden where we like to keep the grass long, we've just been training the Luba to mow a path through the centre. Does a really good and precise job of this, and then we can keep the wild areas either side of it. And once we've finished mowing, the Luba knows its way home, so it will return down the hill and put itself back on its charging dock, where it can recover ahead of its next mow. Thank you so much, Mammotion, for sending us the Luba 2. It's amazing to know that we can use a robot lawnmower on a garden like ours, and if you'd like to find out more information, head to the link in the video description. To give you a little snapshot of what's flowering in the garden at the moment, we've come down here and you can see we've got some lovely Nepeta next to me, and this is in the mint family, so it's really, really easy to take cuttings from. You just take a stem that hasn't flowered yet, remove the lower leaves and pop it in a glass of water and it should root, and then you can plant it in a small pot. So I don't know what variety this is, but I've got a couple of them dotted around, and it's a really generous plant. It will flower through late spring into early autumn if you continue to cut it down once it's finished flowering. It smells really beautiful and the pollinators love it too. So I love this plant and it's looking lovely at the moment. You can see as well, we've also got the Erigeron coming back to life on the steps below me. This is something that I look forward to every year, and these will self-seed happily around and should build up over the months and years. This time of year is amazing for forget-me-nots, as you might notice. So we've got a couple of them dotted around down here, but they are everywhere in the garden. They self-seed really well on their own. And I know some people treat them as though they're a weed, but for me, they're actually one of my favourite things in the garden. And I try to encourage them as much as I can by not taking them out, not disturbing them, and just letting them self-seed. But they're beautiful. We have mostly pale blue ones, but there are a few white plants around as well. You can see behind me I've also got a really rich purple iris that's flowering at the moment, and these were kindly given to me by a friend a few years ago, and now we're in the stage where the plants have spread enough that I can lift them and divide them. So I'll probably do that once they've finished flowering. They look quite densely packed now, but isn't it amazing once you've had a plant for long enough and it's spread and you can dig it up and continue to share it or spread it around the garden. The flowers don't last that long, but they are so incredibly rich and detailed. I really, really love irises. This time of year though, things grow so quickly, it feels like you can come out here every day and there's something new to look at. So I think I can't really do it justice in one video. I'm going to make a slower walk through the garden where I can show you the plants individually, and we can spend a decent amount of time just having a slow meander and appreciating each individual video. So be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see that. And we're getting really close to our goal of 50,000 subscribers now, so please do subscribe if you like these videos and you'd like to help us reach our goal. Also, a huge welcome to anyone who has joined us after watching Alan Titchmarsh's Gardening Club on ITV. Those videos were actually filmed a year ago, so we have so much to fill you in on to get you up to speed. I hope you enjoy having a look around. We do unfortunately have some sad news though, and as you can see behind me, our flock of ducks is now down to 3. We sadly lost our youngest duck, Marnie, a couple of weeks ago. We found her in the barn and she looked like she was really in pain and couldn't walk, so we took her to the vets, thinking that maybe she was quite badly egg bound or maybe she'd sprained a leg or something, but when we got there the vet just said it was quite bad and there was nothing we could do. So the kindest thing was to put her to sleep. So unfortunately we are down to 3 ducks now. Marnie was really, really lovely, and she was a duck that I actually hatched on the dining room table. So she was really, really tame and cuddly, and she used to sit on my shoulder when she was a duckling. And then as she got older, we integrated her with these ducks, and she would come and sit on my belly if I was sunbathing or just sit next to me, which was really sweet. But it has been a really strange year for us with the ducks, because usually they are quite easy pets with not too many problems. You might remember earlier in the year, Waylon became unwell after he was attacked and got an infection, so we had to give him lots of antibiotics. He made a good recovery, but then Coco was also attacked. So 3 of our ducks actually needed medical attention this year, and Abby is the only one that's managed to go through without it. But thankfully the other 2 are doing really, really well. They've made good recoveries. And Marnie's incident was completely unrelated, it was just bad luck. So we are down to 3 ducks now. I don't think we're in a hurry to replace Marnie or get another duck. We're just going to keep it simple and keep going. If anything comes up, like if someone local needs us to rescue a duck, we will take one in, but we're not going to rush out to get another one. So a project I've been working on recently is planting up this border here. If you've been watching for a while, you might remember that I actually planted this up last year, and when I did it, I planted it as a semi-shade border. But since then we've cleared out a lot of the overgrown trees and we've put this yew hedge in, and it has made so much difference to how much light we get. Before there was a big canopy stopping the sunlight from hitting the soil, but now that that's gone, it's a full sun border. So I have kept everything in that I planted before, and it should still be okay. We've got some hydrangeas and some Japanese anemones, some Alchemilla mollis, but I have added lots of sun-loving plants that should flower at the end of summer or early autumn. So we have some rudbeckia called Demi. This is a beautiful yellow flower with sort of cone-shaped petals, really quite striking and should look lovely at the end of summer. We also have some new white vintage, which will look a little bit like cow parsley, quite long, wispy, umbel kind of flowers with white petals. I love the foliage of this as well. It's really pretty. It almost looks a bit like carrots or cow parsley. I've also planted some asters. These are called Audrey, and they are a soft purpley kind of aster, again flowering at the end of summer and the start of autumn. Because I think something that I really learnt last year was that I want to put more emphasis on the times of year when it's difficult to have flowers or difficult to go and see flowers when you're out walking, so i.e. really early spring or autumn. And all of these plants were from a local nursery, which is amazing. They were grown from seed not too far away. I always feel quite reassured if I don't have to import plants from a long way away. It's just much better for the environment, and in theory they should be better suited to the local growing conditions too. But thank you so much to our Patreons who have enabled us to buy these new plants for this border. We really appreciate your support, and I can't wait to show you what this looks like at the end of summer. Hopefully we should get a few flowers this year. Now let's move up the garden and I'll show you our latest project. So see if you can guess what's changed in this bit of the garden. I've been working on a task that was not very interesting to do, but really needed doing. So I have properly wired electricity into the shed. We had something in place before, but it was really precariously done by someone who lived here before us, and we just continued to use it. Basically, we had 3 or 4 extension leads, not even suitable for outdoor use, just plugged into each other up the garden. Really wasn't safe or reliable, so we have changed it now. So I've dug a trench up the length of the garden from the house to connect the mains power supply to the shed, and I've sunk armoured cable into the ground, so it should be quite thick and protected. And while I was doing this, I also put an Ethernet cable in the ground, which means we can get Wi-Fi up the length of the garden, which is something we've kind of wanted to do for ages but haven't really had the push to do it. But since having the trench already open, I thought we might as well chuck in some Wi-Fi, why not? And it's going to enable us to work on a few projects in the future. I haven't fully finished digging the cables in. I've actually left them exposed on the soil in part of the garden, because what I am going to do is swap the fences out for yew hedges probably in the next couple of months, and I didn't want to dig the wire in and then have to dig it out again. So that's going to give me motivation to move on to my next job, and then we'll have a symmetrical yew hedge down the length of the first bits of garden, which should look beautiful in about 5 years' time as it kind of gets a good structure on it. But the thing that really motivated me to get the cable in the ground was getting some new lights in the garden. So you can see one of them next to me on the shed, and then you might be able to spot a few spotlights in the garden behind me. They're really lovely, and they are by the Soho Lighting Company, who we are doing an Instagram collaboration with. So this is a bit of a sneak preview before we finalise the placements of them and before we make our Instagram content. But we're really happy with them already, and it's going to make such a difference when we've got those lovely warm evenings and we want to spend as much time outdoors as we possibly can. can see in the borders next to me is where we've got the spotlights, and we might move these around a little bit, but they are really amazing, and you can swivel the heads to light up particular plants if you want to put a focus on them. So at the moment we've got one lighting up the tree on the shed, and then some of the others lighting up the plants in this border here. But in order to get these in, I've also done a little bit of tidying on the edge here. This was previously rocks that the grass would get tangled up in quite easily. So I've taken those out and put in a metal edge, which is called Ever Edge. It's the same one you can see on this side. I've just mirrored it on this side. And it also means I'm almost ready to do a willow hurdle on this side too. So I've still got my willow left over, the one that I've used from this side. I just need to get around to doing it. And I'm hoping that it hasn't gone too stiff, because it was nice and flexible when I ordered it. I may have to soak it in the pond to get it flexible again now that it's been sat down for a few months. But lots of these jobs I try to just do little and often. I haven't had a solid day in the garden for a long time. I've kind of had a couple of hours here or there, so I just try and get on top of bits as I can. But it is a time of year where you feel like things move quite naturally and things pop up and burst into flower, and partly what you just need to do is observe and enjoy it as well. I'm going to show you the greenhouse now, because that is my next job that I need to get on with ASAP. So I just wanted to show you my tomato plants, because I showed you these about 2 weeks ago when we did our April garden tour, and they've grown so much in that time. It's really amazing, but I need to get them in the ground quite desperately. You can see that their roots have filled up the pots now and they're ready to go in the ground. So these will be going in the polytunnel, which is currently massively overgrown. All of our winter crops have finished going to seed, and I'll be tidying that up and getting these in the ground. But you can see these are even starting to produce tiny buds for flowers already. So they do want to give us some tomatoes. I just need to make sure that they're in the right position to do so. So that's what I'm going to be working on next. And that is pretty much everything for our May garden diaries so far. Make sure you stay tuned if you'd like to see us tidy up the polytunnel and get these in the ground, and then we'll show you a full tour of our flowers as well, and hopefully you can see some beautiful wisteria, roses, alliums, irises, all sorts of lovely things. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.